Okay, for the frog, you will need green yarn size 4. This happens to be Big Twist from Joanne. You will need some safety eyes, but if you are giving the frog to anybody under 3 years old, please embroider the eyes on with embroidery floss or yarn. These are little blue eyes. I'll probably end up using black, and then they have the little backs like this. And you can get those. I got those at Walmart. You can also get them on Amazon. I use a 2.5 millimeter hook. Stuffing. Scissors to cut the thread. Optional, both the marker for your rounds and a needle nose to help pull any closings, your yarn through if you have trouble with dry skin and stuff like I do. Tapestry needle, and then I find that the eraser on the pencil helps to stick to the fiber fill and getting into the stuffing. And then this is like a chopstick that I use to go ahead and stuff to, especially smaller pieces. Hi y'all. So what I'm going to show you is a little frog the pattern that I made up. So we're going to start with a magic circle, and I'm using a 2.5 millimeter hook, as I said in the description, and I am going to mark. So we're going to start out with 6 single crochets inside the magic circle. You have to get the 6, pull the hole partially closed. You don't need to do it all the way. It's a little bit harder if you pull it tight at this point. I always do my first 2, so we're going to increase to 12. So that means you're putting 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you can do this over, yarn over or under, which means you would go, if you were doing yarn under, you would pull up a loop, and then instead of going over the yarn, you would just bring the yarn right through. I'm not doing that. I find it very difficult. Been doing yarn over for way too long to start that. So on the next one, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 in the next, and that'll be 18. Make sure you got the right ones. Like I said, I don't see real well anymore, so I have to really look to see where I'm going. So that's 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 6, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the next 2 will be 8, 9. And I always know the two when you're doing the 18 single crochet rounds, you're going to have, you're going to end the increase on 3, 6, 9, and then 10, and then 11, 12, so 12, so you know you're on the right track, and then 13, and then 14 and 15, and then 16 and 17 and 18. And just pull your yarn as tight as you can. Okay, now the next one we're going to go 24. So we're going to go single crochet in the first 2. And the way I do this to keep count is I do 1, 2, and then on my increase I count 3, 4. So I got 1, 2, and I know the 3, 4 is my increase. It's going to, you're doing 2 and 2, so I don't know if it's easier for other people, but I always lose count. So 1, 2, and that's especially good when you're decreasing where you can't see it. At least with the increases you can count. 1, 2, and then 3, 4. That one got, I'm going to take that pick out. I think the yarn got a little, didn't all get in there. You are using a size 4 with a very small hook. Now you can make a bigger frog by using a bigger hook. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm doing 1. So this is 3 and 4. And then 1, 2, and 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we're going to do 5 rows on 24. So I'll meet you here after the 5 rows. Don't forget to use your marker. Distractions come quickly. Okay, so we have 9 rows total here, and now we're going to start decreasing. And you can do regular decrease or you can do an invisible decrease. The difference is that in a regular decrease, you're just going in both loops, and in an invisible decrease, you're using the back loop only when you do the decrease stitch. The other stitches are done in both loops. And seeing you started, your last increase was at 24, which means you were doing 2 single crochets and 2 increases in the next stitch. So now you're going to just go backwards and you're going to do 2 single crochets. Put your marker in. And then you're going to do a decrease. So whatever you last increased with, that's where you will start your decrease. You will have the same amount. You'll do 2 and 2. You can also do this. I had actually used a size 3 yarn on the original frog that I did, so it was a little bit smaller. So if you want a smaller frog, you can just do it on 18 instead of 24. And when you're done with these decreases, you will have 18. Make sure you're getting into the right stitches. So this is our last 1, 2, and then you'll have 18 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to start putting some stuffing in the bottom there. The hole is pretty big and this is pretty small, so it's pretty easy to do it without an eraser or anything. You don't want to get too much in there because you don't want to end up crocheting your stuffing into your decreases. So push that all the way to the bottom. That eraser does help flatten that down. Okay, now we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. Put your marker in. And for this I am using the invisible decrease, so I'm doing 1 in both loops and then decreasing in the next 2 in the front loop only. What's going on there? Might be hitting a little bit of some of that stuffing. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble seeing here. Okay, so that's going to give you 12. And then you're just going to decrease around. You can put more stuffing in at this point. So when you decrease around, you will end up with 6. And just put little pieces in at a time. Your next hole is going to be pretty small, so you want to get as much stuffing in as you can before your hole is really small like that. Just get it all away from the outside of the yarn. Okay, so just decrease around. So we're doing 1, and I mark mine. I don't take a chance because it's always, then you got to go back and you don't know where you started. And it can mess up your project, so it's just easier to take the second that it takes to put that marker in there. So it's a little bit harder as you get to this point. So there's 2 decreases, so we're on 3. Four. That one didn't do well. This yarn does all tend to sometimes not, you know, get where you get the yarn, or the yarn separates a little bit and then it doesn't get in there right. That's what it did. So you'll have to go back and try to just pick it up. That's another reason, the marker, so you know where you started. A lot of it is too because you're using a size 4 yarn, which actually doesn't call for a size 2.5. And I'm usually out in my living room doing this where I have better light. The light in here, even though there's some natural light from out there, I do have a big tree there that blocks a lot of the sun. One thing about the red heart yarn is it doesn't, it stays together. It's easy to crochet with the 2.5 and then your last 2. And then you can remove your marker. And then if you want to, you've got just a really little hole at this point. So you just want to cut a piece. And you can slip stitch into your first stitch over here. And pull your yarn through. And you have a very, very, very small hole here to put any more stuffing in. So if you want more stuffing in, it's going to be very tight. So just start shoving that in there. We'll be closing the hole in a minute. And then I will end up turning this upside down, and this will actually be the bottom. I like to use the beginning for the top because it's a smoother crochet, or the stitches are smoother on the where you started it, because you're not closing with a needle. Going to open the hole a little bit with the pencil. Just stuff all that in there. There you go. Okay, I'm just going to close now, so where did I put my needle? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and thread our needle with the yarn, and then you're just going to close the top. I'm just going to go in the loops that I can see here. And then it's closed. I like to lift up my project and unwind the yarn. And I'm just going to do a little tiny knot here. And then just run the thread through a couple of times. Make sure it doesn't come out. And that'll be your frog body. Cut it off. Oh, there's my, I was looking all over. I had to go get another needle. It's magnetic to the scissors, I guess. Okay, and there's your little frog body, and here's the top. So I just turn it, there's the bottom, and here's the top. Okay, now we're going to do the eyes, and that is 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Now this is definitely yarn that separates easy. I'm going to cut some of this off because it's really bad right here. Now see how that separates? That's one thing I like about the red heart when you're doing it. It is the easiest to crochet with. Okay, so 6 in a single, or 6 single crochets in a magic circle, and your marker. So that was 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then pull your circle almost all the way closed, and the next row is going to be 2 single crochets and decrease, and we'll end up with 8. So we have 1, 2, hope that's the right one. It seems far away. Can't really see this yarn so well. Okay, there's 1. Let me pin up 2. 2 and 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to pull this good and shut now. So we have 4 on there right now. So pull your tail pretty good so you can close that hole, and then we're going to go 1, 2, and 2 in the last one, and that gives you 8. And I like to use either the back of the eraser or the back of the stuffing stick. Pull this out. Boy, this really is separate yarn. I don't like this big twist very much. I'm sure it'd be better with a bigger hook. It's probably not the yarn's fault. It's probably my fault because I'm used to using the 2.5, but I don't think I've used it with a lot of this. I don't use a lot of green yarn, so. Okay, now the next one is 3 single crochets and increase. It's for 10. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. It's easier if you keep it down. I don't know why it's popping up. Didn't do that on the other yarn I had. But like I said, that was size 3. So, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Don't forget your marker like I just did. Okay, and then 4, 5. And 3 more. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now at this point, what I do is I get the eyes, and I use the safety eyes, and where you started, so you got the middle there, and I put the eyes in there. Probably would have been best not to pull it tight yet. So I just used the middle as my guide for the eyes, where I started. And one with a little bit sharper edge here, just use the pencil. So don't pull it completely. There we go. And just push your eyes in there, get the string out of the way, because, or the piece of yarn out of the way. It's I actually used the black ones for this. These are, the shanks on these are a lot longer. I don't know why these are giving me so much trouble. I'm about ready to go get the black ones. I thought I'd give the froggy some cute little blue eyes, but it doesn't seem to be cooperating very well here. So make sure you don't pull the next one as tight if you already did it. Sorry about that. I didn't have nearly this much trouble, but the other yarn too was a lot, what do I want to say, like it was softer. This is a harder yarn. And then just put your backing on. And get that in there nice and tight. Now I didn't stuff them. You can stuff them when you're done if you want, but I didn't. I didn't think it needed it. Okay, now we're going to do 3, and then we're going to decrease. And you can do regular increase or invisible. I'm just going to do it regular. And I'm going to shove that piece in there because it wants to get caught when you're trying to crochet. That's 3. And then go ahead and decrease. And you'll end up with 8. And then I think I didn't do this in my pattern, but it might be a little bit easier. So you can either, at that point, you can decrease to 8 stitches, and you want to leave some to sew it on too. So I'm going to try this, and then I'm just going to do my tapestry needle and close it that way. So you can stuff a little stuffing in there if you want. I may just put a little drop in there, seeing I'm not crocheting it, because when you sew it compared to crocheting it in there, the crochet is a little, it's just really hard to get it in there with those eye shanks in the back. Might be easier to go around first. So I'm going to go around like I did on my, when I made the octopuses. I like to call them octopi. But that's the English language for you, all over the place. We have cacti, but not octopi. I don't think I am going to put the stuffing in. It's probably just going to show. So just pull that close, see, and then you got a little, yeah, I think it's fine. You don't really need, I think the shank is big enough and stuff, so there's your first eye, and then you want to do one more. And then just run your, actually, you don't want to run your thread through yet, so you can just set that aside and do your second eye.